Hi, this is Ron Darling.
This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to MetsMusings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Mets Musings. Hope you all had a great week. Well, the Mets were definitely busy. Now, I know there was no blockbuster trades made, but they've made enough trades to fortify the areas that they thought they needed to. Most often, the trades are made to fill a gap or to build something for the future, which is what they did last year. This year they decided to fortify the bullpen, get a bat, another outfielder, and get another starting pitcher in, and that's exactly what they did with their trades, including the deals made in the month of July and end of June. They did just that. They acquired 4 relievers, 1 starting pitcher, and a lefty bat. And that was, of course, Jesse Winker. And he'll play right field with Starling Marte still out. And he'll take DJ Stewart's place on the roster. He's out of here. He's optioned back to Syracuse. So Stewart was struggling up here. The Mets acquired Jesse Winker, and he'll be that replacement for him on the bench. But the most of the trades should help the bullpen, which has been really the weak spot on this ball club. Phil Maton, who was acquired a couple of weeks ago, he's looked very good so far. The Mets also picked up on the trade deadline day Husker Brazoban, and he comes over from the Marlins, and he has the stuff to be a valuable late-inning reliever. And they also acquired starting pitcher Paul Blackburn from the Oakland A's on the deadline day, which was Tuesday, I believe. He got the Mets got a starter, and it serves 2 purposes. It's going to probably push Tyler McGill out, who has struggled, out of the rotation, and it also keeps Jose Butto in the bullpen. Now, if you recall, Jose Butto came up last year as a starting pitcher, pitched very well, and came up, started a couple of games this year, and then they converted him to a bullpen pitcher. He's been outstanding. So they wanted to keep him in that role, and I don't know what they're going to decide in the offseason, but perhaps they should keep him in a relief role. They may even convert Tyler McGill. Not this year. I think it would be over the winter and next year that they would convert him to a relief pitcher as well. But for now, they'll send him down to Syracuse and keep him stretched out as a starter in case they need it down the stretch. You never know. As I said, that's we got Blackburn. He'll start tonight, this evening, out in Los Angeles against the Angels in this crazy road trip that the Mets are on now. But we'll talk about that in a second. But like I said, the big thing is it moves Butto. It keeps Butto in the bullpen, which is great news for the Mets. They also acquired, of course, Ryan Stanek for the bullpen. He has not looked too good since he was acquired, but maybe he can work that out. They also got Tyler Zuba from the bullpen. He'll report to Syracuse. So all in all, David Stearns, I think personally, did a pretty good job. Look, he could have gone whole hog. He could have traded some of the prospects to get some of the bigger name players. But the plan all along was to keep this team as together as possible, to see what it could do. And then at the deadline, they could have added or they could have sold out. I mean, they could have sold on Severino, Quintana, even Alonso. They could have really fortified the farm system and really strengthened the farm system. But they decided not to go in that direction, and I think it was a good move. I think he was, tempted, but he resisted that temptation to improve the farm system above what it is now. And he made some small moves, but moves that should improve the bullpen, which was the weakness on this team, and did not pay a high price. They did not give up any of their top, I think it was their top 6 or 7 ranked prospects. So, all in all, a very good trade deadline for the Mets. Was it the greatest? No. I mean, they didn't bring back a superstar, anybody of that magnitude, but they got useful players that hopefully are going to help them down the stretch. And don't forget, they'll be getting back some guys. They should be getting back Garrett and Foley, maybe even Scott. Hopefully he'll come back. He'll be okay. They can bring him back. Hopefully Senga makes it back in September sometime, or maybe for the postseason at least. He may be ready. So I mean, there's bodies coming back, and that's a great thing for this team. That'll fortify them even more. As I said in the beginning, they go on a crazy road trip now, and in fact, the month of August is going to be a crazy trip for the New York Mets. They are going out to L.A. now. They'll play tonight. They start a 3-game set with the Angels. Then Monday they have to fly back to St. Louis to make up a rainout game. And then they're going to fly out back to Colorado to play Tuesday. And then they got to fly. They play 3 in Colorado and then fly to Seattle for 3 before they have a day off. And the day off will be a travel day. They'll come home to face the Athletics, the Marlins, and the Orioles. And then it's back to the West Coast and the Midwest again. So it's going to be a crazy month for the Mets. They're going to spend a lot of days on the road, 3, 6, 9 home games. That's all they're going to have in the month. So it's going to be they're playing not the best teams, but it's the travel in this case, and that's a tough thing. But hopefully they'll survive it. They'll play pretty good ball. Hopefully, dropped the last game against the Minnesota series, but other than that, took 2 out of 3 there. Split with Atlanta on the last road trip, so the last homestand, I should say. So it was a 4-3 homestand. Not awful. Not it was, at least it was a winning homestand. That's the main thing. You want to keep winning series. So if they can take 6 out of the 10 out in the coast, that'll be very good, and we'll see what happens from there. But it's crazy. Whoever makes up these schedules, these traveling, and it wouldn't have been too bad if they had that other off day, but they have to fly to St. Louis to play that makeup game. So that throws a monkey wrench in the whole thing. But that's, August is going to be a tough one for the Mets, but this will make or break them. It almost would have been better if they did this in July, and then you'd have a better picture for the trade deadline and whether or not they should have been trade buyers or sellers. But be that as it may, they were buyers, and they didn't give up a lot to get pieces that they needed. And now we're in August, and this will be a telling month because the schedule doesn't get any easier. I mean, as I said, towards the end of the month, and we'll have more on this as we go along. But they'll have Baltimore, they'll have San Diego, and they'll play Arizona, and those are big games. They're battling for the wild card with those two particular teams, San Diego and Arizona, and B, they're going to be on the road for the Mets, so got to play them even on those games. So let's hope for the best. All right, let's see. What do we got here in other news? Outfielder Brandon Nimmo is day to day after fouling ball off his foot. On Wednesday, he departed that 8-3 loss against the Twins in the sixth inning, and he was in obvious pain. But X-rays taken on Nimmo's foot came back negative, and he said he expects to return to the lineup for Friday's series opener in Anaheim. So we'll see how he is feeling with all of that going on. Adrian Hauser and Ty Adcock released by the Mets. They released both of those guys. They had designated them for assignment in recent days. Hauser began his season in a rotation, had the right to reject an outright assignment to the minors based on his major league service time. His Mets tenure ends with a 5.84 ERA in 23 games. As I said earlier, Tyler Zuber, who the Mets acquired from the Tampa Bay Rays, and left-handed pitcher Matt Gage were optioned to AAA Syracuse to clear roster space for Brazaban, who they got, of course, in the trade deadline, and Paul Blackburn. Let's see. Right-handed pitcher Shintaro Fujinami outrighted to AAA Syracuse. Fujinami cleared waivers after the Mets designated him for assignment, which was unsurprising. Given his $3.35 million salary, any team that claimed him would have been responsible to absorb the remainder of his deal. That allowed the Mets to outright Fujinami to Syracuse, where he can still present as an option for them should they need it down the stretch, if he ever can harness his stuff. Got some great stuff. Can't control it that well. That's the problem. And the Mets have had a problem this year with walks from their whole pitching staff. So that's something they're going to have to really work hard on the rest of the season and going into next year. So before his DFA, Fujinami walked 25 batters over 16 and a third innings in the minors. So not very good on the control side of things. But we'll see what happens if we need him down the stretch. Maybe he can work it out in Syracuse and get a hold of his wildness and control it a little bit better. As I said, crazy road trip, 3 with the Angels. That'll be starting tonight. Blackburn's on the mound for the first time, so if you tune in tonight, you'll get a look at one of the newest Mets acquired in the trade deadline or by the trade deadline. All right, let's take a break and come back right after this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history. Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
Okay, we're back, and it is time to go down on the farm. And in the farm news, the Mets announced on Wednesday afternoon that the club has signed 18 of their 20 picks from the 2024 MLB draft, including first rounder Carson Bange, which we reported last week, and second round Jonathan Santucci. The only picks who haven't signed are ninth rounder Jason Jelkin, a right-handed pitcher for the University of Houston, and 20th rounder Adam Haig, a shortstop who is committed to play for Oregon State. And this has happened sometimes. Sometimes these guys, they won't sign and they'll go back to college for a year and hope that they get drafted at a higher spot next season with another team. And it happens, but you like to try to get them all in and get their pro career started. Let's take a look at some of the top prospects. One guy we haven't talked much about this year, he's been struggling in AAA, but may have righted himself. Mike Vasil, he had his best outing of the season. He went 7 strong innings in a Syracuse win on Tuesday, and he looked spectacular by all reports. So maybe Mike Vasil has turned the corner a little bit, gotten a little seasoning now, got more used to AAA, and we'll see how he goes the rest of this season and what happens next year. Jonah Tong, another guy who's been dominating. He continued that dominance on Wednesday. He allowed a 2-run double in third, but other than that, he shut down the Aberdeen lineup playing for the Brooklyn Cyclones. The 21-year-old recorded his 4th double-digit strikeout game of the season. He has a 2.48 ERA and 50 strikeouts over his last 7 starts. So that's a guy that we all should be looking at. Excuse me. Jonah Tong, 21 years old. Eek. I could barely tie my shoes at 21. Mets prospect Luis Angel Acuna was originally slated to lead off for Syracuse in Thursday's game, but was scratched by the AAA affiliate. Now, everybody thought, is he going getting called up? Was he traded? What? Who knows what? According to Newsday's Tim Healy, the infielder was removed from the lineup because he has a sore foot. It's unclear about the severity of the injury or when it happened, as Acuna played the entirety of Wednesday's game against Columbus. He went 1 for 4 in that game with a double, 2 RBI, a run score, and a stolen base. But they did take him out. No word yet on could be a day-to-day thing. In 97 games this season, Acuna's slashing .262. He's got 5 home runs, 37 RBI, and 31 stolen bases. Acuna, 22, is ranked the Mets' number 6 prospect, according to SNY's Joe DeMayo, behind Ronnie Mauricio, Ryan Clifford, Drew Gilbert, Christian Scott, and Jet Williams. And, of course, Mauricio and has been out all season. He tore his ACL last January playing winter ball. Um, Ryan Clifford and Drew Gilbert are having some nice years in the minors. Christian Scott, of course, we saw he called up to the majors. He's got some elbow or forearm issues, so he's been sat down now, and hopefully he'll avoid Tommy John surgery with the rest and rehab. Hopefully he'll come back and it won't be a problem. And Jet Williams had a wrist problem, had surgery on it, and he's been out most of the year since April. So they do expect him to come back later in August, mid to late August. So he'll get a few weeks in, but it's been kind of a lost year for Maurizio and Williams in particular. Um, and Christian Scott got some major league time, so we're just waiting on him to see what happens there. All right, let's look at the schedule. Syracuse is 16-14, not the schedule, the standings in the minors. 3.5 games back. They are in third place in their division. Binghamton is 17-12, game and a half back in fourth place, their division. Brooklyn is 14-19. They've struggled a little bit in the second half. These are all second half standings. 5 games back, they are in last place. And St. Lucie is 11-22, 11 games back, and they are also in last place in their division. So that's the farm report and some updates on some prospects. And actually, that's our show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll tune in every time there's a new edition. We try to do it weekly. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, but that's the way life goes sometimes. So, if you are watching this on YouTube, I hope you will hit the subscribe button and the like button. You know, they tell me that the analytic people, YouTube, tell me that 73% of viewers are not subscribers. So, come on, let's get that number down. Subscribe to the podcast. That way you'll know when a new edition of the podcast is coming out. And as far as the audio goes, we are available on every audio podcast app. So you can get us audio, you can see my pretty face on video, however you want to view the show. But either view it or listen to it. Or please just do one or the other. That's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll be back again next week, hopefully. And we'll have a report. And remember, Blackburn goes tonight. 3 with the Angels. 1 with St. Louis in St. Louis. 3 with the Colorado Rockies. And 3 with Seattle. That's the road trip coming up. We'll have more on that next week and a review this week of how they did against the Angels on the next edition of MetsMusings. So until next time, remember, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets. And I'm Gary Mack. I'll see you next time on another edition of MetsMusings.